What if I told you that a man survived both atomic bombings in Japan, that two strangers on the Titanic had nearly identical names and fates, and that Edgar Allan Poe may have predicted a real-life shipwreck decades before it happened? History is full of mind-blowing coincidences that sound way too crazy to be real. But they totally are. Stick around because number 3 is so bizarre it might just convince you we're living in a simulation. Before we jump in, what's the strangest coincidence you've ever experienced? Let me know in the comments below. The man who survived both atomic bombs. Meet Tsutomu Yamaguchi, the unluckiest or luckiest man in history. On August 6, 1945, he was in Hiroshima on a business trip when the atomic bomb dropped. Miraculously, he survived. Shaken, he returned home to Nagasaki just in time for the second bomb on August 9th, and he survived that too. Yamaguchi lived until 2010, proving that some people are just built differently. In 1898, 14 years before the Titanic sank, author Morgan Robertson wrote a novel called Futility. It was about an unsinkable ship called the Titan that hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic and sank. Sounds eerily familiar, right? The similarities don't stop there. The fictional Titan and the real Titanic were nearly identical in size, speed, and passenger count. Did Robertson accidentally predict the future? Or did something even weirder happen? When construction on the Hoover Dam began in 1922, the first recorded fatality was a worker named J.G. Tierney. The dam was completed 14 years later, and the last person to die during construction was Patrick Tierney, J.G.'s son. Father and son, both the first and last casualties of the same project. Is this an eerie case of fate or something more mysterious? Famous author Mark Twain was born in 1835, the same year Halley's Comet passed Earth. He later predicted that he would die when the comet returned, and guess what? He was right. In 1910, the comet reappeared, and Twain died the very next day. Talk about leaving on schedule. The bullet that waited 20 years. In the 1890s, a young boy in Texas named Henry Zieglin broke up with his girlfriend. Heartbroken, she took her own life, and her brother, in a fit of rage, shot Zieglin. Or so he thought. The bullet barely missed Henry and lodged into a tree. 20 years later, Zieglin was chopping down that same tree when the bullet inside was dislodged and hit him, killing him instantly. So yeah, fate has a really twisted sense of humor. Edgar Allan Poe's prophetic novel. In 1838, Edgar Allan Poe wrote a novel about a shipwrecked crew forced to eat a cabin boy named Richard Parker to survive. Creepy, right? But here's where it gets insane. In 1884, 46 years later, a real-life shipwreck occurred. And guess what? The starving survivors also resorted to cannibalism. And their victim's name? Richard Parker. At this point, either Poe was a time traveler or the universe just likes messing with us. The Lincoln-Kennedy parallels. Okay, this one is wild. Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy share a ridiculous number of coincidences. Lincoln was elected in 1860, Kennedy in 1960, exactly 100 years apart. Both were assassinated on a Friday. Both were shot in the head. Both were succeeded by men named Johnson. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy, and Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. Coincidence? Or something spookier? The identical strangers on the Titanic. The Titanic had two passengers who were eerily similar, John P. Chapman and John P. Chapman. No, that's not a typo. Two men with the same name on the same ship, both sailing to America. One was a wealthy first-class passenger, the other a third-class immigrant, and neither survived the sinking. What are the odds? The twin brothers who died the same way. In 2002, a 70-year-old man in Finland was hit by a truck and killed while crossing the road on his bicycle. 2 hours later, his twin brother, riding his own bike, was also hit by a truck and killed on the same road. Neither knew about the other's accident. The universe just decided that was the plan. The curious case of Napoleon and Hitler. Napoleon Bonaparte and Adolf Hitler were two of the most infamous leaders in history, but their timelines share some eerily similar patterns. Napoleon was born in 1760. Hitler was born in 1889, a difference of 129 years. Napoleon came to power in 1804. Hitler rose to power in 1933, 129 years apart. Napoleon invaded Russia in 1812. Hitler invaded Russia in 1941, again, 129 years apart. Both leaders were ultimately defeated and lost power almost exactly 129 years apart. Is this just a bizarre historical pattern, or is there something strange about that 129-year cycle? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Whoa, history is full of bizarre coincidences. Which one blew your mind the most? Or do you know an even crazier one? Drop it in the comments. And hey, if you love wild, unbelievable history facts, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Who knows, the next mind-blowing fact might be about you.